Ultras 11, not welcome back because frig you. We apologize all the time. Sorry for missing last week. That was on me again. I had a meeting. I'm trying to put my big boy pants on and do things.
Joe's trying
to
better himself in life.
Yeah, I'm not getting better. I'm just getting fatter. But regardless of that.
So pretty much all he's trying to say is make sure you're subscribed to this podcast.
Yeah.
So then he doesn't have to worry about this, and then he doesn't have to miss any days.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all he's just trying to get.
If this were to actually if this were to actually take off, you don't have to worry about me missing anything. I'm always here then because, hey.
You'll probably see more of Joe's.
Yeah.
If that's a gooder thing. If that's a gooder thing. Well, if that's a good thing, who knows?
That's for you to decide. But regardless, dads are back. We're back here.
The boys are back in town.
I just called us dads, and now we're going to be boys again?
Yeah, we can wait. Whatever we want to be.
Boy dads. No, that sounds really provocative. Fucked up, actually. Anyways, today, we are going to cover the Champions League. We're gonna go over quickly.
Champion.
I was waiting for that. That's a
clip I had to do it, man. Come on.
Every time Al does it, it's a different clip.
Joe, it's that time of the year, man. It's the best time of the year.
It's not the best time because Roma still plays on Thursdays. But anyways, today
Champions League.
Yeah, just for this week though. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. We're gonna go over the new format. We're gonna recap that just in case you forgot, or just in case you don't explain it. We're gonna explain it in simple man terms. Well, Al probably will because I still don't fully understand it. We are gonna kind of tell you which stories to follow. Not so much predictions, that might come next week. But like which teams to follow, which teams will be interesting, some stories we're intrigued by, and yeah, players to watch, storylines to follow. I feel like I've said storylines a lot, so I'm just gonna
storylines a lot.
Anyways, though,
clearly it's called storylines.
Storylines with Al and Jose. Anyways, back to business. Al, do you want to explain the recap?
Hold on. Before we get into this whole recap thing, you mentioned Roma, and I just honestly just genuinely want to ask, Joe, what the fuck is going on with Roma? You guys are, a point out of relegation? Like, never mind, not in Champions League. Next year, you might be not even in the league.
I don't want to speak about this. The fans don't want to hear me talking about this.
I mean, I think they do, Joe.
It could, actually. They might like me crying. They might like my pain.
What the fuck's going on?
It is our podcast, so I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
So you are right. You are right here.
I mean, hey, we love their support. We love their what they want to hear, but it's our podcast at the end of the day, Joe.
You are right.
I want to hear about Roma. What the fuck is going on before we get into anything?
Okay, so let's talk about Roma. AK, let me talk about Roma for 5 minutes to get rid of all the demons inside.
This ends up being a 59-minute podcast just about Roma.
I was opening the floodgates, guys. I'm warning you. But regardless of the floodgates and
never mind storylines.
Never mind storylines. The storyline with Roma is we don't suck, but we suck ass. Okay? So on paper, we look like we're going to be an unreal team. We had a great transfer market. This and that. We plugged gaps. De Rossi got his number 9. We spent 200 mil or whatever it was. We held on to Dybala. Everything sounded great.
Not making it sound better right now.
Everything sounded absolutely great, right? And then we played our first game of the season, and we tied. No, we lost.
Yeah,
we lost. Then we tied. Then we tied again. Then we tied again. And yesterday we tied. Well, 2 days ago, when you guys hear this, we tied in the 96th minute. Genoa decided to score. Pellegrini's not my captain anymore. I'm mad at him. We're arguing a bit. We got rid of Bove, which is probably the biggest loss of the year. I would have rather have sold Dybala, which sounds absurd to you guys, but
hey, that'd be crazy to say. You guys haven't won since you sold.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's a guy. He's the guy for me, at least.
He was. Yeah, I think.
I think honestly,
Emperor of Rome.
I'm torn between two things. I look at Arsenal with Arteta, right? And I know that's weird to compare, but when he first came there, 2 years, they spent like terrible banter club still, couldn't get anything going. And now they're in the conversation for winning the Prem, right? So maybe it's like, maybe De Rossi needs time, patience, this and that, right? Like think long-term, more than 2 years, more than a year, like whatever it is. Cool. So I'm thinking that. Or and I'm also thinking, is De Rossi just another Gattuso? Is he just another fucking amazing player, hard-nosed, tough as nails, this and that, but he just can't transmit his ability
only get
to
you so far.
You know what I mean? So I'm thinking it could be either one. And I don't know. What does Roma do? Do you ride the wave with De Rossi and just keep on trying it out? Do you give him the whole year with the chance of finishing in like 10th place or whatever. Or like, again, Roma could turn this around. Realistically,
100%. It's still early. It's still early.
Yeah,
on.
It's only 3 games into the season, 4 games into the season. So us panicking, it's warranted, but it's not really warranted. You know, all these new signings need time to mesh, need time to gel. It doesn't help that you have a random international break after 2 games. Like, there's a lot of factors. But just looking at the way Roma plays, and like, there's zero identity. Cristante fucking sucks. And you'll never hear me say that because I loved Cristante for a while.
What the hell is happening, man?
He was an average guy. And whatever. Cristante sucks, though. And I think I saw him playing with his hair more than he completed passes last week. Every time he touched the ball, either a heavy touch that they took the ball off him, or he decided to think he was Francesco Totti, one-time fucking pass, and he just bombed it outside the field or fucking to the goalie's hands. Get rid of him, bench him. I never want to see him on the field again. The only positives I could take is the young kid that we've been playing, Nicolo Pesili. Fantastic. He's getting his chances. He's running with them. He's doing well. Dovbyk is literally Ukrainian Lukaku. I don't want to hear otherwise. Dybala, you're cute. You have nice touches and stuff like that. I think Sule should be playing instead of him, even though Sule's still a little bit like whatever. Pellegrini, don't look at the field. Because as a captain, if you are going down every single time in a tackle and just rolling on the ground, get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, respectfully. I would rather see Baldanzi play. I fucking love Baldanzi.
Hat-trick last week.
You know, like that's what I mean.
Going to talk about that.
When he plays, he scores. But yet we don't see that. We think, nah, whatever. We'll just sit him on the bench. No, Baldanzi should be starting. He should be the first name on the team sheet, besides Svilar, obviously. But like, I don't know. It's frustrating because we have these guys, and I think we could be good because, like, on paper, again, we're really good, but I don't know what it is. Yeah. I really don't know what it is, and I'm just so tired of seeing this. Like, Cristante gives me anxiety now. I don't want him to play. Mancini, okay, I'm going to be tough on him right now, but I still think Mancini's decent enough for what we have. You know, Mario Hermoso, we signed him. I thought that was great until I saw him play. He thinks he's a fullback. He thinks he's Roberto Carlos. We're playing 3-man backline, and this guy's furthest up the field.
Now you maybe like understand why he was a free agent for so long.
I literally saw that. I'm like, what's he doing? You're playing center back, not left wing back. Why are you up there joining the attack that much? Like, we didn't even have a clear-cut chance that you're that far. Leaves us stranded. Indika, you're a wall. Nothing to say bad about you. You're a fucking animal. I wish we could clone you right now. Angelino, nothing bad to say either. Average, but
does his job. But
yeah, he does his job, and that's it. Who the hell was our? Oh, El Shaarawy played right wing back. I don't know anymore. I think we lost the plot with that. I love El Shaarawy, but I don't know, man. That's weird.
What do you guys even have there?
Zeki, Celik, or him. Yeah. Or we got that crazy Saudi Arabian guy.
Oh, yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, or whatever his name is. Which, honestly, man, I wouldn't mind seeing him. At this point, what do you have to lose?
At this point here, I know.
It's like that kid we signed, Samuel Dahl, the left back. Okay, the coach that we got him from said he's the next Philip Lahm. Crazy accusation. But, hey, if he's actually decent, fucking throw him in. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen at this point? If you start experimenting, like, okay, I'll speak for myself, not every other Roma fan here, but I'd look at him and be like, okay, you're trying something. You're trying other things. You're trying to figure out what works best right now. Yeah. That's fine.
You're trying.
I understand.
You're testing the
waters. You're good. Exactly. You know, even if it means benching Pellegrini, Cristante, and Paredes, because even though those guys were your pillars last year and you're benching them,
all three of them should be on the bench.
They should be. Yeah. Given what we have right now, I'm sorry. I genuinely believe I would look at you and say, obviously, we would need maybe one of them to start, depending on the formation. But even then, you got Lafi, who I think is good. Manu Kone, who I think is very good. And then Baldanzi. The way I see it is those two guys, Lafi and Kone, could play defensive mid and let Baldanzi roam around in attack. Yeah, that's how I look at it, at least. Sule, great right mid, great winger. Give him a fucking chance, you know? But I digress. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt right now that says non se può non se può spiega, which basically means like we're not supposed to talk about it. You just understand, like Roma, why we love them.
Yeah, but you gotta talk about it sometimes.
Gotta talk about it. Gotta talk about how much they suck, how much they break my heart. My Sunday was ruined. I woke up at fucking 6:20 just to watch them fucking tie a game.
And then to watch Dallas Cowboys get
and then to watch my other team get absolutely railed by. Worst part that whole time was when every time Olave caught it, we're in fantasy as well. the guy Flores has Olave. So I'm just like, fucking, not only am I losing in fantasy, my team's losing, my other team tied. Just kill me.
You know what?
do I have left in sports?
I'm good for this week.
I'm done. I don't want to watch anything
I'm
anymore.
hibernating this week. I'm not going to see anybody.
I'm going to eat popcorn and Ben and Jerry's. Thank you so much. Now you guys get why I put on so much weight.
Man, I'm surprised after yesterday you didn't text me say, "Yo, hey Al, I'm missing another podcast."
Honestly, I was going to. I was gonna message you like, "Hey man, not feeling it anymore.
Not really in the mood to talk about
Something
soccer.
came up.
Not in the mood to talk about soccer today.
I might be going to therapy sessions that are lasting all day and night. I don't know yet.
I don't. Okay, quick little from an outsider's perspective on Roma.
Blow it up.
I genuinely think, man, you guys did make impressive signings this summer. You guys addressed a lot of the issues. Okay, maybe not all of the issues you had, but you addressed a lot of them. Got depth in certain positions which you needed it. I just genuinely think it comes down to now Roma's actually, trying to have a project, trying to have something. And I just think that the type of coach that De Rossi is, where he's very, you play for you die for the badge, you put everything into each game, like your blood, sweat, and tears. I don't think that can get them very far. I think this team now genuinely needs just a game plan and proper tactics, because I think they do have a good base, man. Roma definitely has something that can fucking surprise a lot of people. But I don't know. I just think that you watch the games and you see them, man. Majority of the game, it's like how not even to say how Juve was last year. It's like a worse version of that. I was
just about to say, at least Juve got results.
I'm saying at least they would counter it and they would try to get that result at the end of the game. But Roma, they sit back. They play that game where they just pass it along their back line, waiting for the team to put pressure. But if they don't put pressure, Roma doesn't move the ball up. They just keep passing it backwards. Yeah. And you don't see any good movements, any real plan. And I think that's what they're really missing. And I hate to say it, because you know how much I love De Rossi. I've said it plenty of times. It's just they knew what they were doing when they extended him, and they knew what could have happened at the end of it. I just hope that he understands and it gets dealt with properly. But I genuinely think you guys need a proper coach to come in there and with a proper game plan and tactics for this team.
I agree, but that's the thing. All I would really ask for as well too is transparency, not a whole fucking corporate type of tangent about how Champions League is always our target. We should strive for that. No. I want them to sit down. I want the owners to come out. I want De Rossi to come out and be very fucking honest and just say what it is. That's it. Yeah. Just so your fan base then understands too. Oh, I mean, I understand because I'm fucking crazy cool like that. But everybody else is already asking to get rid of De Rossi. But if you looked at me and said, hey, we're going to ride the wave. Seasons may be rough, but we trust De Rossi. This is a 5-year project.
No.
We saw other examples of it, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Then everybody will just shut the fuck up. Yeah. But there's no communication like that. So
there's no transparency.
Here we are. But Al, would you like to explain the
I'll say now that we got Roma out of the way, and Joe went on a 13-minute tangent about them.
Sorry guys.
Champions League is back tomorrow, finally. And obviously I'm a little bit more happy about it this year compared to last year, because we're actually back in Champions League. Yeah. So big things coming this year. But honestly, I'm genuinely excited, not even just for the Champions League, just to really see how this whole new format comes down to and actually works out. Because yes, they've explained it. I'm going to go through it in a bit, but we never actually seen it. We never actually, never mind just the group stage, how that's going to work. That's going to be cool. But just throughout the rest of it, how it's all going to work and come down to, and see how these teams actually, treat the competition. I feel like it's gotten stale the last couple of years. And that's why the Super League was such oh my God, it's actually kind of a good idea the way that they're explaining it. And this is just a cheap ripoff pretty much of the Super League without the money that's behind it. Yes, there's more money now in the competition, but nowhere near what the Super League was going to give.
Least,
the Super League, they're giving 300 mil as long as you stayed in the Super League or made it to the Super League in that year. Which is fucking insane. But we'll get right into it. So this new format, have you seen it fully or anything, or do you have an understanding of it now?
I understand it a little bit, but I'm just confused with certain I just don't understand. You have your teams that you're playing against and everything like that, but then how do you what?
Okay, so pretty much pretty much with this, I understand why you haven't really paid attention because your Roma's not in there, but
we don't have to worry about this. Actually, Europa League's the same, isn't it?
Yeah, it's similar, kind of, but it's not as cool because you can say the champions.
What the fuck is that, man? People getting mad at each other.
See, maybe you learn that song this year, and then you can sing it in the mic when we talk about Europa League.
I already have it memorized.
Okay, so this new format, pretty much now, it basically set up like a league. So you have 36 teams in it, which compared to other years, it's 4 more teams in the actual whole competition. So already there, you're having more teams now. So picture one big league table. Inside of that, once they finish playing their 8 games, which again, 2 more games than they were doing last year because but last year was only who was in their group. Now you're playing a whole league. So pretty much once all the 8 games are played, the top 8 teams automatically make it to the round of 16. Their places are they're already secured. After that, the people from 9 to 24 will go into a playoff game where they're gonna match up against each other, and the winner of those is gonna join the 8 teams to make the final, the round of 16.
So does anybody drop now from Champions League to Europa League like previous years?
No. So the teams now underneath 24th and below, if you end up over there, you're eliminated.
Yeah.
So those guys are out now.
Good.
And I feel like just having that now, it'll make teams try a little bit more, because sometimes in the past, like in the group stage, where teams kind of they knew they had a little bit of harder group, and they squeezed out a win, or they got 2 points out of 2 games, and they're in that 3rd spot, and they're like, hey, you know what, like we can tie this game and we'll go to Europa League, at least we'll still be in it. Now it's going to make teams kind of fight a little bit harder to stay in Champions League and try to get, because now too, like I mentioned before, they're having more money into the actual tournament now. So right now, when you're just the winners of the competition get 86 million euros just in prize money, not including bonuses of 700,000 euros for every point gained in the league phase, or income from television. So there's going to be a lot more money on the table. Again, nowhere near Super League money.
No, but they're actually rewarding.
But they're actually UEFA's actually taking a little bit of money out of their pockets that was going into it from everything, and putting it back into the teams and giving it back.
If you saw my point of view, Al quite physically went into
my pocket
and then went out of his pocket, and he
because I had to get the money from UEFA's pocket, dude.
But it was just like you guys don't see that part.
BTS, baby. Maybe one day they'll see it.
But
so,
anyways,
pretty much after going through it now, what are your initial thoughts? Do you understand it a little bit more?
No, I understood it. I was always confused with the whole idea of like, do teams drop?
No.
Or not, like whatever. How does that work? With all the rest of the teams, are they just dead? See you later. And then even with like the other 8 teams that qualify for the last remaining berths over there, I always just wonder like, okay, how does that work out now? But now it makes sense.
Yeah, because then at least
you're just in a playoff within it.
I like, from my understanding, I don't know what else is different. Like that's why I'm interested to see. But once the 8 go there, and then the playoff happens, and the next 8 are chosen and they win, and they join those guys for the round of 16. I don't know if anything's different from that round of 16 on to the final. You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be like the same how it was in Champions League, like round of 16, like home and away?
I think it is.
No aggregate. It is no aggregate anymore. Like no away goals.
Yeah,
and it keeps going like that.
That stays the same.
Okay,
that's the knockout phase is still the exact same. It's just the actual group
how it gets like split up and everything. Yes. Okay.
Well, you guys have been caught up just like I have been caught up. So let's get into the storylines that we will be following. So first team that we're following, surprisingly, we're not going to say Juve. I know you were thinking that because a friend over here is wearing your Juve jersey and is a fan. But the first team we are going to follow is Aston Villa.
So we're in alphabetical order.
That could be a thing. I didn't even think about that actually.
Or maybe worst to best. Who knows?
Yeah, okay, we'll say that too. Yeah, sure, could be a thing as well. But regardless, we are going to talk about Aston Villa and their whole Champions League campaign. It's one of those. It's a fun team to follow. This isn't like a team we're saying like, oh, they're going to go on, they're going to win it all, they're going to actually upset the big dogs. Like maybe obviously they could, and they're not they're not the most glamorous looking side. But they do technically have a European pedigree. because they have won a European competition back in 82. But that was also the second last time they were in the league, in like Champions League or anything like that. So it's been a long time coming. And when you also factor in 2019, they finally got brought back to the Prem. Yeah. That's kind of a cool story, right? Like you went like from there, bottom of the second division, first division, now you're in Champions League all within like a couple of years. I think that's fantastic. That's cool. That's definitely a story in itself.
They've definitely done a great job over there.
Yeah. And you know what? There's a lot of credit that should be given to Unai Emery, who was kind of written off after everything with Arsenal. Okay. He was just known as a meme merchant with the whole good evening, like all of that shit. So like, yeah, he's doing his best to make Aston Villa a good team, and now they're kind of in that conversation of a top team in the Prem. Not the most top, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
like they're up there, and they're doing it without the oil money like other clubs. Newcastle. Anyways,
fuck off.
So
my Magpies.
Al, who do you think is going to be key for Aston Villa in their fight for the survival to actually stay in this year's Champions League?
I mean, sorry, my microphone's making a weird noise, like a phone call's happening or something.
The phone call is happening.
Okay,
I'm calling you.
Okay, no, I don't know. Sorry, I got kind of tripped out there. Sorry. So, the guys that I think from Aston Villa that are going to stand out or that need to be need to step up.
Well, you could do both. You could do both. Because I would say realistically, they both could tie hand in hand, but do both. Who do you think needs to step up, and who do you think could be like the surprise immersion and like surprise package?
I mean,
from their team,
not much of a surprise because of just how good he's started off this season. I think my boy Duran. I think honestly, not even he's gonna be a surprise, but I think he's gonna really show out in Champions League.
Duran.
Pretty good.
It just honestly clicked into my head. I don't know why I was that delayed. That is kind of clever.
So now you see how long it takes Joe to kind of process.
Some would say he's hungry like a wolf. Hell yeah.
That would have been good if he was playing with Roma. Now Roma need to sign.
Got me happier than
so Dobrik.
So we're selling David Dobrik. Fuck you, David.
Back to Villa, not to Roma anymore.
You're gonna put me in a little fucking spiral.
Okay. Duran. Think he's gonna come up big.
Yeah.
And then guys I think that just need to show up when they're called upon is Tielemans and Ollie Watkins. I think those guys, I know they're good players. They have proved themselves in the past, but I think now when you're playing in Champions League, and I mean, we're playing them the last game of the group round, so I mean, hopefully they don't show up at that game, but the rest of the games, sure, go ahead. I think those guys are going to be the most important guys for that team.
Yeah. For me, even
Emi Martinez. Like he's a phenomenal goalie.
I think that's probably one of their
especially
biggest.
with Argentina.
Yeah.
But if he can bring just some of that consistency and just that energy and fuck, man, those big moments where he comes up like that for Argentina with Aston Villa in Champions League, like, yo, they can definitely be a fucking tough team to beat.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, they may not be able to get all the goals and beat teams like that and whatever, but if they're able to hold it down, like Ezri Konsa is a great center back, as much as I hate to admit that because he's English. Not that I hate English people or anything like that. It's just every English player is always overrated. So I'm always hesitant to call an English player good. But Ezri Konsa is solid, and Emi Martinez obviously solid. But if somehow they could transmit that defense and become like solid and like almost like a fortress, I think that's what I
mean, Joe. You like teams like that, okay, they're gonna play tight defense, especially when they play bigger teams. They're gonna be under a lot of pressure. Yeah, okay, if they can hold down, that's one thing. But that's what I mean. You're going to need a guy like Ollie Watkins to show out and show up that game and score, to capitalize. You get a counterattack, he can't make a run and then put it right past the net.
There's also a debate, and I'm going to ask you this. Duran, obviously your boy, Duran. He's been doing great.
Yeah.
And he's coming off as a bench player.
Yeah.
Do you see him just being a bench player, though? Because like it almost gives me the same vibe as like Inzaghi, right? Like Inzaghi wasn't anything great. I wasn't anything bad. Like he was a good player, but he was great as a sub.
Yeah.
Once he was starting, it's like, whatever. Do you think Duran has that kind of like, ability to he's just strictly a sub, or he should be starting?
That's honestly a good like comparison and kind of what I was kind of thinking of like with him. Like I feel like he's the type of guy that he just thrives off that. Like he's just like even like a fucking for his time those 2 years like a Zaza on Juve.
Yeah.
You started the guy. he was fucking dog ass.
Yeah, yeah.
But he came on as a sub and he scored you a goal. He did whatever he needed to do out there. And then after that whole little stutter step with Italy, he completely went on a downfall.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like guys like that is just that's their role. And once they accept it and they know that like that's where they're best, they see it too.
Mm-hmm.
You unlock an even better version of them.
Yeah.
Because it's sometimes when it's like, they're coming off the bench, they're doing really good, they're good at doing that. They can't accept it, like, oh, I want to be a starter, and that's where they kind of get ruined. But once that player kind of accepts that, and I feel like if he has, like, I mean, he's perfect for it coming off the bench. I genuinely think like I wouldn't really move him from that role. Like test it out, see how it is. If he fucking keeps going, because there's people that kind of they make it out of that. They become just that bench player. Yeah, and he's good for this, and then he gets started and he scores a brace, and you're like, hey, fuck, maybe this guy actually can play out a full 90 and like be useful from the start. So it could go either way, but I mean, it's not broken. Don't fix it.
No, you're right. I agree. Well, like Ollie Watkins is obviously a good player as well, so it's not like I'm questioning him. Like he has his goals as well this year. Yeah. Duran's just literally come off every single time and been this crazy super sub that scores, right? So that's why obviously it's kind of like it raises a question like, hey, imagine if he started with more time, technically it means you'd get more goals, right? But it's like you said.
I mean, if he can be useful and, they're defending for 80 minutes, Martinez is having a fucking hell of a game, the D's having a hell of a game, he can come on and just out of nowhere score that goal and just to make that separation game make a 1-0. Like, what more are you going to ask for from the guy?
Yeah, it's true.
That's literally that's what they need. I think that's the biggest thing is they just need their star players to show up.
Yeah. Speaking of star players showing up, we're going to talk about PSG
and their star player leaving
and life after Mbappe. I think it could be interesting.
I mean,
this is a story. Why do I have to hold on while you drink water, you creep?
Because it's a Dolomia.
Oh, yeah. This
a word from our sponsors. This episode.
I don't think they could see you because you're behind the laptop.
This episode is sponsored by Dolomia.
Yeah. I'll take a moment for Dolomia, always.
Oh.
Look how beautiful it is. Anyways.
And we're back to our scheduled program.
Thank you for that. Thank you from our sponsors. Anyways, PSG. Life after. Could be interesting. Could suck ass. I think it's actually a very interesting complex concept that they have going on right now.
It's the best thing that they've done.
Yes.
They're a team. Yes. They're a team known, especially as of recent, for making bad decisions and stupid decisions from what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to do. So seeing this and Mbappe actually leaving and them doing what they're doing, this is the first time I actually say, like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't hate them as much. Like, they're actually doing something properly for once.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, right? Like, you rewind a couple years ago, well, more than a couple, you know what I mean? You rewind a little bit, you see PSG, they had Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. Rewind a little bit more, they had Mbappe, Cavani, this guy, like, you know what I mean? They were always this star-studded team.
Yeah, right? Always.
Like, they always kind of threw everything at it, but they were never able to get anywhere. And now you look at them, Luis Enrique's at the helm. They have a bunch of wonder kids, Zaire Emery, Barcola, Joao Neves. Well, they just picked up Joao Neves. Barcola, Doué. Like, and they still have good enough players. And Donnarumma, like, whatever. I think this is probably the best thing they've done for themselves because now it's almost like you're building something.
Yeah.
You're buying these players. Yeah, okay, Joao Neves, you paid a pretty penny for. But in a year or two, you already know that's going to be doubled.
No.
And that's the craziest part. Like, all the guys they picked up, all their youngsters, these wonder kids they signed this year are just literally getting better and better. And it's reflecting that. And PSG could genuinely be building something for the future.
Yeah. I mean, dude, minus like Messi, Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar. Like, usually you look at their signings and they're always guys that are, out of their prime. And yeah, okay, they're experienced players, but they're old. They're out of date. Like, they're not what they used to be. So now it's like you're seeing this team and it's like a very young team. And like, it's something going forward, like, could actually be fucking spicy. But the only thing is, it comes with a little bit of that pressure that's always going to be behind you because right now, dude, League One, I don't even know if they got a TV deal or if they got one last minute before it started. But if let's say this doesn't work out and PSG actually just becomes shambolic, they're literally like they're the biggest team in the league and the biggest team that brings in the most money.
Yeah.
So if they're shit and they're not doing that, that it's not going to be good for that league, man.
Yeah. Well,
that's the only thing bad about it.
But this is the thing,
direction.
Right? If with Champions League and whatever, because that's what we're talking about, not the league.
No, I know, but I'm saying about touching upon that. But you're saying with PSG going this way, I'm saying that can be the only thing with that is just that can pay the price.
But that's the thing, young way. Like it's in my opinion with this, I feel like this is actually something better for the league now because it's almost like, look at Monaco, right? Look at that year that they went on that run with Mbappe, all those youngsters, how entertaining that side was, how everybody was rooting for Monaco. People wanted to watch Ligue 1. Why? Because Monaco was this underdog story. They were building something great. Everyone loves shit like that. Everyone always loves when it's a homegrown team, right? So when you see that with, obviously PSG isn't all homegrown, but when you see a bunch of kids going out there playing like there's no tomorrow, like you appreciate that more than the superstars, right? Yeah. My question for you is, do you think does this year's expectations change for PSG in the USL, the UEFA Champions League,
the UEFA Salamander League? UEFA Champions League.
The champion. Do expectations change for them, or do they stay the same?
I mean, okay, I get it. You know, you lost your star boy. That's your number one guy. But I genuinely think, like, if I'm the board, I'm the coach, my expectations aren't changing, man. You still have world-class players on that team. You have a great coach on the bench. It doesn't really change the fact for me that they're like, you know what? Yeah, you know, they lost Mbappe. You know what, we should kind of change now. You know, we'll go for the league, you know, try to make a decent run in Champions League. No, man, like, dude, now at this point, honestly, every year I'll keep saying this in Champions League. Yeah, okay, you have your Madrid. Madrid's that stupid, over fucking powered powerhouse.
Yeah.
Now that Messi and Ronaldo are done, literally anybody can win Champions League. Chelsea proved that 3 years ago when they were almost didn't make it out of the group stages and then end up winning it. And like they didn't have an easy road.
I'll say no to that part because Real Madrid's gonna win it this year, man.
Okay, first of all, don't think so. I genuinely don't think so, man. You already see that, man. It's not clicking. I'm telling you, Champions League, they're gonna get exposed. 100%, brother.
Every year we say this.
No, this is the year I'm right, man. Watch.
Every year we say this.
I'm right, Joe.
Every year we say this.
The second game of the season, I was watching fucking Vinny, Mbappe, and Rodrigo all on the left side of the field.
Yeah, okay. Maybe they want to hold hands.
Dude,
maybe
if proper teams go up against a man and they attack their weaknesses, that team's gonna get exposed. I'm telling you.
Until they have one little shit counterattack, and
if the refs are still on their payroll, then probably they're gonna win. If they're not gonna win. I can guarantee.
Ancelotti's gonna play Park the Bus.
No, he's not, and then he's gonna retire when he loses. So, no, I think they crash out. I think PSG. There's no reason to change up now and be like, yo, yeah, let's take. No, fuck it, man. If they come up against Real Madrid later on in the thing and they have a chance to eliminate them to end up winning it or go to the finals, dude, you're playing your fucking heart out that game.
So you think expectations shouldn't change?
No, man.
I think expectations do change.
No, man. For what?
And listen, I think they'll still be competitive, but I feel like this is now officially the part where they look back and say, hey, we tried to win at all costs, throw money at everything, and buy a Champions League, essentially, to now changing it up and saying, maybe we should build a proper team, have a good coach that we're going to actually ride with for more than a year or two, that, like, whatever, and build something and have almost like a dynasty. They see Real Madrid winning 3 in a row and stuff like that. Why is that? Because Real Madrid actually has a proper dynasty. And, like, they've slowly replaced things and done what they had to do and stuff like that to build up for the next dynasty.
They're still, I don't know. I think they're still a contender.
No, I'm not saying they're not a contender, but I'm just saying the expectation changes. Whereas if they bow out of the competition, it's not like before where it's like, see, PSG fucking flops. They suck. They this. They what. It's the expectation in that regard changes. That it's like from
people's view of them, people's expectations. Yes. But I'm saying as a team, like they shouldn't be like, yeah, you know what? Let's not aim to try to win Champions League like in previous years.
Well, your expectation should always be to win everything as a team.
No, but like Roma. The Roma's like, hey, if we make Champions League, good. If we make Europa League, at least we're still in Europe. If we make Conference League, we can try to win it again.
Our expectation is we win everything, and we're going to win the Scudetto this year. I just, somehow during this whole conversation, I just got faith again, somehow, in everything. So.
No, I don't know. I generally, I don't think that, like, I mean, people's view on them, I feel like people aren't going to hate. People used to love when PSG got kicked out because it was like, yeah, fuck PSG, fuck Mbappe. You know, they didn't want to see him winning a Champions League. That was literally the reason why. Now not having him, people are like, you know what? I kind of wanted them to win.
So I was gonna say, do you? That was my next question actually. When you have like a world beater on your team, like a Messi, a Ronaldo, Bale at his peak over there, Mbappe, like, do you think it kind of throws you automatically into that contender bracket? And sometimes is like a pressure not worth having?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I can tell you firsthand. I saw it with Juve and Ronaldo. Yeah, no, we were in a good spot, whatever. But every year it's like, oh yeah, you like, not even from like the friend group. Like mine is not like, I know some people did say it, some people didn't. But like just seeing online, like just reading stuff, it's like, oh yeah, Juve is a contender, seeing them in there, and I'm like, our midfield consists of Rabiot and Arthur. How are we a contender? I get it, we have Ronaldo. Yeah, I hope we do. You know, we make a run, but how the fuck are we a contender?
Well, he's Mr. Champions League, dude. Come on.
Okay, but dude, you still have to have a team around him.
No,
look at the team around that the Madrid had around him. At first, it didn't work. They didn't win right away.
Yeah,
they started winning later on. But
and
once they
Benzema
figured it out and they had a proper team, he flourished and he did good.
Yeah.
The closest thing was that first season, like with that when we beat Atletico, that comeback thing, that was honestly our best hope because we still had Pjanic. Yeah. He was still running the midfield. Bentancur was still young. He wasn't being asked of too much, so like he was doing fine. He was still doing his job. And then I think we still had Rabiot too at that time, which he sucked at that time. So I mean, that was whatever.
Sucks.
He still does suck.
I hate Rabiot.
But at that time, you know, Dybala was still healthy, no injuries. You had Douglas Costa, Bernardeschi. Like you've had a good enough team that, you know what, that's the only year I'd say, yeah, we were contenders. You know, we could have won. We still had fucking BBC back there. Like we were fucking, actually no, that year Buffon was at PSG.
Yes.
We had Chesney already in that.
Tech.
He didn't because then Buffon came back the year after. So we still had Chesney. We still had Bonucci, Chiellini. We had Alexandro, Cuadrado. We had a good enough team.
Yeah.
That was only the year. After that, everyone, still contenders. So like, where the fuck are we contenders, guys? Like, be honest here. Like, look at the team. We are not fucking. Just because we have Ronaldo doesn't mean we're a contender.
Yeah.
He can help us, but that doesn't make us a contender. And that 100% plays a big role. Having Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo, Mbappe, you put this guy on any team, and it's like, oh, they're a contender. Yeah, they're a contender.
Yeah, no, I agree.
People will say that, man. You put Mbappe on fucking Milan. People are like, oh, dude, Milan's going to Champions League this year. They're contender. They're contender.
Milan fans already think they're going to win everything. So
they sent Tammy. That's why.
Yeah, only good signing they fucking made.
He looks good in the jersey.
He does actually. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, I'm done with PSG. Eat the rich or whatever that line is that everybody says. Let's talk about a team that is thriving under
Juve.
Everything? No, they're just thriving, and it's homegrown. It's low cost. It's perfect.
Because you can finally talk about Juve.
Yeah, for sure, man. I am going to talk about my favorite storyline right now.
Juve.
Sporting.
What the fuck?
This is for you, Dad.
We don't have Joe on the episode today, man.
No, this is for Joe as well because I miss Joe and I don't have anybody to talk to about Sporting. I might be a closet Sporting fan. I'm not sure. Sorry to everyone I know that's a Benfica and Porto fan. My apologies. But this is honestly my favorite storyline simply because when you look at their team, it's so just they're so fucking good and well-rounded. And the worst part is the average age on their team is probably like 23. Honestly, man. Yeah. Like you look at their defense. You have Inacio, you have Debast, and you have Diamande. Inacio's the oldest there, and he's 23 years old. Jesus. And they're already like, if you literally go on transfer market right now, go look at all these guys' values. Diamande's worth 65 mil. Inacio's 65 mil. I think right now Debast is 45 mil. And like two of them, they got for free, came through their academy and everything like that, or when they were youngsters. Debast they paid for this year, which I'm surprised nobody was going after him because he's fucking amazing. They only paid 20 mil for him. Their goalie is their weak spot.
Someone will start looking at him once he's worth 80
that's what
plus.
I mean. You'll see. I already could tell you this now. After this Champions League, how Sporting was able to hold all these guys is beyond me. I respect the fuck out of it, but they're gonna get picked apart because this Champions League is gonna show, man.
But what's that? Nothing's gonna change though with Sporting, man. Look at that year when it was like I think 2 years ago when they won the league.
Okay.
I remember the year before talking to Joe, they sold a bunch of guys, some like the older guys, and like they sold them for good money. That season there, they were starting guys 16 years old, 17. Joe, I think that year there too, that Joe was like the oldest guy is like Okay, I think one of them was like 28 or 29, if I'm not mistaken, and then the next oldest one was like 22.
Yeah, well,
Like, it was a massive
but
jump.
that's what I mean.
like,
That's what's crazy because
they still won the league that year.
I
man.
could honestly look at you and say, like, right now they're 5-0, undefeated.
Sporting's got something good going on.
York
man.
is a fucking animal. Trincao is finally hitting the peak of his prowess that Barcelona wanted from him at that time. Pedro Goncalves consistent. Always know what you're gonna get from him. They still, and like, that's their defense, that's their attack. They still, then when you look at their youngsters, they have that Spanish guy, can't speak today. Fresenda, not Fresnenda. Fresenda. I could be butchering their names as well, guys. I'm sorry, whatever. I'm not Portuguese or Spanish or anything else.
We knew that.
Anyways, Fresenda, they got that guy from Genoa 2 years ago. Well, last year, technically. Hudlemans. The Danish guy, fucking crazy, whatever. And then they also have a 16-year-old playing for them right now in Cuenda. Giovanni Cuenda, who is electrifying. He's good. He's starting. It's absurd to me because if they lose Pedro Goncalves, Cuenda's already there.
Yeah.
And he's already good enough to be starting 24/7. It's just, and oh, wait, we're forgetting the most important part. They have one of the most hot fucking coaches in the world right now.
Who's that?
Ruben Amorim, who everybody wants.
That honestly,
that
is, I'm absolutely shocked that he's still there this year.
Do you know, like, there was 30 mil offers for a coach.
Dude, he had a lot of offers this year, man.
And he rejected them all, and he's building a fucking empire there. And I genuinely could look at you and say, I'm going to obviously ask you this, and because like we're going to ignore me fangirling right now for these guys and twerking for them. Al,
yes,
put aside what I just said, and don't let me change your decision of anything. Do you actually think they have a chance of finishing in that top 8 or finishing even in that qualifying zone? Given obviously the talent that's out there right now, the teams that are out there right now.
Sporting.
Yeah, do you think Sporting
100%.
has that chance?
100%.
Do you think top 8 or do you think in that other little bracket, 9th to 24th or whatever it was?
Like, see, like a part of me, and like, I mean, watch it happen because I feel like there's always just that one Portuguese team that just goes off like a year in Champions League, and I feel like it's going to be them this year. I could see them almost getting in the top 8, but I could see them in that from 9 on, but I can see them like between 9 and 15. I would say,
yeah,
I could see them squeezing in there.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think they finish top 8, and I don't think they'll even have a problem.
Right.
I don't think people.
I'm contemplating, man. Like, they have a really good team.
It's because when you see the smaller teams play, and I'm obviously calling Sporting small. I'm sorry, guys. Facts are facts when you put them on the grand scale of everything here.
Yeah.
Sporting is deemed a smaller team, right? When you put them against all these other guys, though, usually the smaller teams park the bus, play counterattacking football. But the only problem is their team isn't actually good enough even to defend.
Yeah.
These guys have 3 world-class center backs right now that are able to defend and fucking solid. So it's like, okay, park your bus. If that is your tactic, which I know they won't do, but even if they do decide to do that, they could hold them off.
What are you going to do?
That's what I mean. Like, they could actually hold them off. So that's why I'll look at you and say, I think they finish in top 8 easily.
I mean, they could. They honestly, like, I wouldn't be like, no, I wouldn't fight you on that. I genuinely wouldn't, because I can definitely see that. Personally, I think, like I said, 9 to 15, I think in that range. But I can see them getting into that top 8, man.
Yeah. Well, again, that's probably their reality.
What they are, honestly, against, for a lot of teams, they're a very tough matchup.
Yeah. They're
very
a matchup
hard
that
to match up
like
against.
For the top teams, they're the matchup that you expect to win, but wouldn't be surprised if you draw points.
Yeah.
That's what Sporting is to like the Liverpools, the Arsenals, whatever. Yeah, so we're not going to really harp on Sporting. I feel like I
feel like you fangirled hard on them.
I'm sorry. I didn't even ask Al's opinion there enough. I just said, fuck you. They're a top team. I'm following them. I actually forced Al to let me put this in today to talk about Sporting because I love Sporting.
Joe, if you're listening,
yeah.
Joe is also a Sporting fan now, so you got to get him a jersey, so he's fully on board.
I think I'm going to just do a lot more research about a lot of things.
No, but I mean, Joe, you generally kind of covered everything about them. Sorry. No, but like, I'm being serious. Like, there's not really much to say. Like, dude, they're an extremely young team, but that doesn't change anything because the way they're playing, they look like they can beat most of the top teams right now. Like, you look at that Champions League, the whole bracket of who's in there, they can beat majority of teams in there. Personally, I think they match up very well against all of them.
Yeah.
And them being able to hold on to their coach, hold on to a lot of these players and still bring in new young players, to tell you, they're a scary team, man. They're a very scary
what kind
team.
of scares me about this whole thing is, and this will be the last thing until we jump to our last team. What scares me about Sporting is like usually like Portuguese league is known for selling, right? It's known for creating talent and then selling.
Yeah.
Usually it's with like look at Benfica. They're the masters of 1 year you're gone. Even half a season you're gone
Later.
for 60 plus mil.
No, they won't sell him.
But
Next
sport,
thing,
like you look
sold.
at Sporting,
go.
like Inacio was offered. They offered. I think it was 60 mil. Liverpool offered. United offered like 80 mil. All these teams are coming at them, and they're rejecting them. You know, like I don't know their financial situation or whatever it is, but like
and sell them then.
But who knows if they even sell them? That's the thing. What if like if you were to look at me and said, Joe, they're keeping all their players, I wouldn't be surprised.
No,
like,
there's one thing with Sporting. They know how long to hold it. Some teams are stupid. You know, they have a guy, they have offers coming in 80 mil. No, we want to keep him. Okay, fine. The next season he has a very good season again. Teams are coming for even more, 100, 110 mil. No. Then he keeps going. Then he ends up becoming free and he leaves for free.
Well, I see that happening to Yorkes, not leaving for free. I like out of everybody on their team right now, I think Yorkes is the only one that would be sold.
That's what I mean.
Because his value is undervalued.
Sporting knows when to pull trigger.
Yeah.
Once they see that, okay, hey, this is good value. You know, this is what we think it is. Let's sell him. We have somebody else replace him.
Absolute scenes when Sporting just develops like the whole Juve complex and wins the league for 9 years straight. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they become the powerhouse, somehow then competing in Europe for the Champions League. And if that happens, I don't know.
Joe becomes a full-time Sporting fan.
No,
never mind Roma.
Never. I would never abandon Roma that much, but I will tell you that I'm really interested in Sporting this year, like actually following them because of what they're doing. I'm mad at myself for not paying more attention to them. Actually,
okay, if they finish in the top 8, you gotta get a jersey.
I'll buy a jersey and I'll go to Joe's house and watch the game.
Okay, good.
Every single time. But
good.
Gonna change the subject here. Last one.
Oof, this better be who I'm thinking of. This better be who I'm thinking of.
So obviously, I don't give a fuck about this Sporting. I give a fuck about Sporting. I don't give a fuck about this story, is what I meant to say.
That's true. Joe's
so
he doesn't give a fuck about Sporting. Joe, you hear that one?
I don't care about this story that we're about to talk about. So this will be Al right now.
Me.
We're gonna talk about
so it's definitely about you,
the mighty old lady.
The old ladies are back in town.
No, it's kind of like a welcome back for you. Like it's like well, last year technically you would have been back in, but you guys forfeited that spot due to yes.
No, we would have been back in. Then we lost the points. We went to Conference League, and then we forfeited that spot.
Yeah, but I'm saying back in Europe in general. I'm saying Europe in general.
We don't care about Conference League, Joe. We're trying to win Champions League. Never mind Conference League. We don't want to be like Milan. If Milan went to Conference League and they wanted to be like, oh, dude, we're fucking massive kings of Europe. No, dude, that's a little.
Roma would never do that. Yeah, what the hell?
Roma's like, yo,
Roma didn't have 30,000 people flooding the streets. We just all high five and said cheers. We won it, but
like Avicii said, man, there's definitely levels to this shit.
Hell yeah! R.I.P. Gone too soon. Love you, Mourinho.
Fuck. Well, hey. Never mind Avicii. Juve's fucking back, boys.
Yeah, Juve's back in Champions League. That in itself is a story because it's history.
Obviously, it's his story. Holy crap, man.
We both went for the high five.
Holy shit.
But there's a lot at stake. It's not as straightforward as it usually is for Juve. Usually, like, every time Juve's in it, I could turn around and look at you and be like, oh, yeah, Juve has a fighting chance. They have this,
what are you talking about, Joe? We're fucking massive,
Could you
Joe.
listen?
We're fucking massive.
Thiago Motta's first time ever in Champions League. Not as a player.
He played it a couple times.
Not as a player, because obviously we know he was there as a bench player, somehow wearing number 10 for every team he played on.
Won it a couple times.
Not as a coach.
Nah, but
so first question,
soon.
We'll start off slow and soon. What do we think with Thiago Motta? How do you think he fares with his first Champions League experience? Do you think he feels the pressure? Do you think he overthinks it? Do you think it's just another day at the office? Wagwan.
I think with the type of player and the type of coach he is, I genuinely don't think he's going to really feel the pressure of the game. I mean, he's been in these situations before, and it's not like he's played at like Monza his whole life. No discredit to Monza, the great team, great city, Berlusconi, big ups. But he's had his fair share of Champions League nights. He knows what it is. He knows what pressure is. He knows playing in big games. So I don't really see him, struggling in that sense. Who I do see struggling, because it's not just him making his debut. It's like fucking, I saw a list today. I think it was like 9 players that are making their Champions League debut. First, the biggest one, my boy on my shirt right here, Cambiaso.
You're going to say Mbangula.
Him too. I never played in Champions League. Like majority of there's 9 players that are making their Champions League debut, which is fucking massive because 9 of them will actually probably end up either start or end up coming on at some point. So it's pretty big. Plus the coach as well is making his coaching debut. So I think the players might feel it. I think Thiago Motta will do a good job to kind of help them through it and kind of, take a little bit of that pressure off and not make them feel it as much and just kind of get that installed in their heads. Like, hey, just another, it's another game. Go out there, you play your game. We play like this, and this is how we're going to win. And I honestly, I genuinely think, man, just seeing what he's doing there. And honestly, I think these last 2 games, watching them, even though they've been ties, it's nothing compared to watching a game last year when we tied. Now it's just I see that there is a lot of good. These new guys, once they start clicking, man, we are going to be a dangerous team. I genuinely think so.
Yeah.
Once these guys start kicking,
except Coop Miners.
No, he's a fucking. The one guy I will say, which is surprisingly enough, which we spent money on, which I see why he was on the bench, Douglas Luiz. He needs to figure his shit out, man.
That's Alicia Lehman's boyfriend.
Yeah, he needs to stay away. He needs to stay away from her a little bit. Maybe
it's not Doug Luiz's his girlfriend. It's Alicia Lehman's boyfriend, okay. Douglas Luiz.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Watching him play on the weekend, he just looks too slow. He's good with the ball, man. He moves the ball very well. He just looks, a couple steps behind everybody else. Yeah. So I'm okay with him sitting on the bench. He needs to kind of figure shit out, but. The rest of the guys, man, they got a lot of guys that are hungry. They're young. They're ready to play. They've shown that they're ready to play at the highest level. Now is their time to show it. And I think having Thiago Motta is, I wouldn't say for those players, I feel like just personally, just by experience, I feel like Allegri maybe would be better. I feel like he was better just handling the press. Thiago Motta, he hasn't really had to deal with anything crazy yet, so I can't fully judge him on that. He's been okay now, just kind of really answering generic questions. But kind of with that whole thing, I think Allegri might have been better kind of talking to them and just kind of taking the pressure off the kids. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. I think having Thiago Motta now, man, I genuinely think with the experience he has, I think he'll be fine this game.
Yeah.
I think going into it, he'll be fine.
Do you think Juve has the players to actually compete, though, on all 3 fronts? Coppa Italia, this Champions League, and Serie A?
I mean,
I'm not just saying, obviously you're starting 11.
We're in 5 competitions, Joe. Don't start taking competitions away for us. We're also in the Super Cup and the Club World Cup.
Okay, do you think Juve could actually compete with the players
in all 5?
Yeah.
In all 5, it might be a little bit tough.
Okay. Why?
Just for the depth and just the age of the team. If you have, some of these younger guys and, they're your depth and you have, a more solid starting 11 where these guys through and through, they're starting every week. Yeah. Okay. I'd be a little bit more comfortable. It's just because of it's a very new team and how quick everything's happening. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I genuinely think it will kind of pick itself up and you're going to really see what this team can do. But I don't know, man. I can see Juve competing on. I can see them honestly competing in 3 fronts. All 5 might be tough, a tough ask.
Yeah, I do think 1 will be sacrificed.
I think
maybe even
Club
2.
World Cup.
Yeah, I was just about to say
the shitty thing about the fucking what's it called, the Super Cup for the league. Mm-hmm. It's fucking now it's 3 games. Yeah, because they wanted to make it a tournament, dude. It's the fucking winner of the league and the winner of Coppa Italia. They play. That's it. Yeah, we're trying to make more competitions. Fuck off.
For that, I'd probably say Super Cup could be sacrificed because what the fuck does that really mean? And the Club World Cup, respectfully, even though it's still prestigious and whatever. There's more money in going further in a Champions League. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I think Juve is going to look at that.
I'd rather go for that. You go for that treble there. You focus on the league, you focus on Coppa Italia because majority of Coppa Italia, every team does it. They play their fucking bench guys up until the semifinals when it's Roma, Juve, and Napoli, Milan.
And even then, there's still
they'll still play their second goalie. They'll still sit some of the guys, especially if they have Champions League coming up. They don't fucking risk it. So. For that competition, really, I mean,
you said treble.
Yes, I'm not saying we're going to win the treble.
No. But do you think Juve could win the treble?
Not this year. I was
I'm not saying anything or like whatever. I'm genuinely
you're just
curious.
genuinely
Like,
asking. No,
do you think they have the facilities?
I'm confident in my team. Can I see them surprisingly like just end up pulling it off, especially with this new format and how everything goes and who the matchups end up being? Hey, matchups will always favor teams in Champions League. I've always said that. Yes, you need a win, you need to play good, but matchups help along the way.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to it, like, yeah, okay, if they won, I'd be like, holy fuck, like I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up pulling that off. Yeah. But I like I said, I generally think, I'm happy with what they've done with what they've done. I'm happy with the youth. I'm happy, they keep introducing these guys in and they look solid. And I think for the future, we're actually like for the next maybe 2-3 years, you're gonna see continual growth. And I think that's maybe when we'll start seeing like hopefully another dynasty kind of. Yeah. This is the start of a dynasty, is what I'd like to say.
Yeah, that's okay though. It's ground zero of a project, So
but now you actually see something. You have some direction, man. We're not just spending money and signing free guys, but then paying them $9 million a season because we got them for free. We save money.
Yes.
Thank God we're not doing that anymore.
What do you think? Last question. Mm-hmm. What do you think are some of the keys to success for Juve, and what must they avoid? Like, are there key players that need to be doing well and kind of say, like, I'm stepping up?
I think if I would have to bring it down to 3 guys, I think the 3 guys that need to be performing for Juve to do well is number 1,
Big Greg.
No, he's good. I'm pretty happy with our defense consistently, but guys that actually need, I'm saying, like, to step up and be there, Vlahovic.
Yes.
He needs to. We've seen it in the past. People say, question if, is he, like that, could he get to that, world-class level? Okay, maybe not he won't be in the same conversation of the, the Suarez and Aguero and, guys like that. But he definitely has the skill, man. If you look back at some of the goals he's scored, not just an average striker scores those goals. He scored some beautiful goals that take skill to score. He just struggles with consistency.
Yes.
If he can find that and be there in those big moments, that's the guy that will take Juve to that level. You see right now, we're tying games. We're playing good defensively. We're moving the ball. Yeah. We're just struggling finishing. Yeah. And other guys aren't stepping up. And he has to be that guy to step up. So he's the number 1 for me that he has to be there. Number 2, I would honestly say Thuram. We saw what he can do the first game. He honestly, I think, is the perfect matching with Locatelli. I think them two in that double pivot, I think, is absolutely perfect in that. If he can stay healthy and he plays like he did that first game, the last game when he came back, you saw he's kind of just getting off that injury. I'm not saying anything about it. Seeing him that first game, that gave me so much hope that I was like, holy fuck, like this guy is actually what we needed in the mid, what we were missing in the midfield. So him, Vlahovic, and the last one, I would honestly say it's going to be a toss-up between either Coop Miners or Yildiz. For me, I was leaning more on Yildiz. Coop Miners, I think he has the experience. He's just he has to figure out, the team dynamics, and I think he'll get it. He's proven that what he can do. I think he honestly is a fucking amazing player. I think he'll be fine. Yildiz, we've seen early on what he can do. The kid's got he's special. The kid's got something.
Yeah, he's a good
now,
player.
Just like back in the day when we signed Dybala and he came, he started playing Champions League and he fucking balled the fuck out, dude. He performed. He showed up every Champions League game. That's what we need from Yildiz. Not saying he doesn't show up. I'm just saying in those moments, we can't be like, oh yeah, he ghosted this game. Oh yeah, where was Yildiz this game? He needs to be performing. Especially now, even being that number 10, okay, say, hey, you want to add a little bit more pressure there? He needs to be that guy. Him, Vlaho, and Thuram. Not saying, again, Thuram is not, but those 3 guys, I think, if they have a fucking monster performance in the Champions League and even in the treble that I was saying, you're going to see a successful Juve and a dominant Juve.
See, I think the 3 key guys, just to add to this whole thing, obviously Vlahovic is there, but I wouldn't say Vlahovic because for me, Vlahovic is very much a player that he feeds off of support. So I would then say Yildiz is even more important for